Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Just a few more days until spring break. We are continuing on with our discussion of Harrison Bergeron. You should have read the story yesterday. We talked a little bit about the main idea, what could be the theme or the biggest takeaway. Obviously, a lot of it is going to be centered upon the idea of equality, and we know that because the first sentence or sentences, say something like the year was 2081 and everybody was finally equal. And so I put this image up there today because we did talk a little bit about how we all think equality means something, and it means very different things. A lot of us talk about fighting for equality, and that just means every single person on the left, if you see, has the same box. Some people don't have boxes at all, and so this idea of equality is the first step to some people. When we talk about equity, that means everybody getting what they need. So, for example, everybody gets the same thing, but some people are going to need different things for the situation. Then you have equity, where obviously the tall person can already see they don't need certain stepping stools. And so we talk about this is more about like fairness, like systemic fairness. Liberation, on the other hand, is where nobody needs boxes because the barriers are down. And so I wanted to show you these three different visuals just so that way we can guide our conversations and our thinking a little bit. So in terms of characterization, I want to make sure that we remember what that is. I know it's been a while. I know these are basic notes, but sometimes we just need a little bit of a refresher. So the types of characters, we saw this a little bit with archetypes. Your dynamic characters are going to be characters that change, right? These are the characters that are going to be able to have more than one archetype. Your static characters do not change. They're consistent, and they will also be archetypes, but maybe they'll be, one obvious archetype. Your protagonist will always be dynamic for the most part. They won't change. Otherwise, everything that happens, a conflict, climax, all the things really happen around the protagonist. The antagonist is the driving force of the conflict. They could be dynamic, they could be static, but they oppose the protagonist. It's not always good and bad. Sometimes the protagonist is not necessarily a hero, like Deadpool, right? And an antagonist doesn't always necessarily have to be a villain. So characterization essentially is the evaluation of a character to better understand their personal attributes, kind of like when we talked about archetypes. You have direct characterization and indirect characterization. And so on your chart for today, when you look at appearance and actions, those and speech, those are all direct characterization. Indirect would be thoughts. It would also be reactions, right? Because those are maybe certain things that we have to put together ourselves. So direct is directly stated. Indirect means we have to look at clues. We have to make inferences about these characters. And so if you've watched the movie The Hate You Give, or if you've read the book, it's a phenomenal book. It's a great story. This goes through examples of Star Carter's attributes, who is the main character in this book and the movie. So there's evidence from the book here, and there's explanations for appearance. So not only are you going to have my example for Harrison Bergeron at the bottom, but you have this slide to go in and see what it looks like. Same thing for thoughts and emotions, for speech, which you're going to practice today on your own. For actions, again, you're going to practice this today on your own. And then reactions to other characters, or people's reactions to them, I will go through that with you tomorrow. So this slide has just really good reminders as well as examples from a different book to help you access. So if you don't really understand my example, you can always go back in and look at these notes. If you have not read Harrison Bergeron yet, you need to click on this link to be able to access the story. The audio is there. Listen to it. You do need to make sure you understand, because you're going to have to make sure you get solid text evidence from the book. So I did ask for you yesterday to look at the appearance, and it's what the character looks like and what the text implies. And obviously they give you descriptions of lots of different characters. They give you descriptions of the ballerina, of George and Hazel, and then of course Harrison. I chose Harrison because the story is called Harrison Bergeron, and there were two different places that I found that really described what his handicaps look like, with some really great imagery and figurative language. So the first sentence I found was, the rest of Harrison's appearance was Halloween and hardware. Nobody had ever worn heavier handicaps. So that's a great start, but it doesn't really tell me what they look like. And so that's why I chose the second one as well. Ordinarily, there was a certain symmetry, a military neatness to the handicaps issued to strong people, but Harrison looked like a walking junkyard. In the race of life, Harrison carried 300 pounds. So there was simile and metaphor in there with some really strong descriptions. And so the second box asks me to explain how the evidence kind of helps to add to the meaning of the story. And so the meaning is really based on this idea of equality and, the things that can happen when taken to extreme, but they also play on our everyday behaviors and what we assume to be true about equality. So I said the description of Harrison's handicaps illustrates the burden of what it means to be exceptional in society's eyes. Think about it. If you're a really smart student, you have everybody coming at you calling you a tryhard or a nerd. If you are an exceptional athlete, you have people jealous, right? You have to defend your position. If you are a boss, right, you tend to get a lot of the negative energy and not necessarily support. And so if you are exceptional, there is a negative emotion associated with that in society. That's true even now. So the more extraordinary a person is, the more they have to justify and defend themselves. But the description also shows the difficulty in trying to rise to the top. So when we're trying to be ourselves and trying to be exceptional, it seems like there's all this weight and all of these different setbacks that we have to pull away in order to be our true selves, in order to reach our potential. And so it's true for people who are truly exceptional. It's true for people who are trying to be exceptional. There always seems to be these physical weights on our shoulders. It could also be, true in terms of ableism. People who do have handicaps are exceptional beings underneath them, but society only sees, the outside or sees the disability. So there are a lot of different ways that I could have taken, some of these descriptions, but that's what I chose to focus on for today. Okay. So hopefully this example helps you to complete yours if you didn't do so yesterday, and gives you an opportunity to revise yours today if you need it. So this link will take you to your own character chart. Remember, this is due tomorrow. I do ask that you focus on the speech and actions portions today. So yesterday you should have done appearance. You can update that one today. Go forth and do speech and actions, because then I will discuss the other two for indirect characterization tomorrow. Your attendance question for today is based on the handicaps and just letting me know what you've noticed about the different characters' handicaps. So what do you notice that's different between Hazel and George, or the ballerina, or even the speakers who have speech impediments, right? Like, you can't be good at anything if you're in that position, kind of thing. Otherwise, you'll be scrutinized, right? So again, you need to click on this link if you need to review this story, because you're going to get some of that information from the story. And then your response needs to be submitted before midnight to earn your attendance credit if you're not in Zoom. Okay? If you are in Zoom, I still want you to go through this and add to it, because it's going to help you with your character charts. Then you'll also have access to everybody else's responses, so that way you can get some ideas for your own work. Okay? All right. So if you have questions about anything, please let me know. If you're getting phone calls today encouraging you to come back to class, remember, we don't really have a lot of people here. I am getting vaccinated. I was already vaccinated yesterday. I'm getting my next one pretty soon. And remember, we're here for you. If you're feeling overwhelmed about the amount of assignments you need to make up, don't be. Hang back after the Zooms, ask me questions, use your document on the home page right here that says third MP assignments. Start with the major grades in red and work your way down, okay? All of the links are here for you for every single thing. I know it's not realistic to try to complete all 14 assignments that we have, so just start with the major grades. Remember, I am going to give you an alternate major grade to replace your lowest on Friday, so guys, don't worry. I'm giving you all of the resources and opportunities that I can think of to help you be successful. Don't be embarrassed. Reach out. Nobody's here to judge. This has been a tough year for everybody, and all we want is for you to be successful, and we're here for you. All right? Have a great Wednesday. I hope to see you guys on Zoom, and if not, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.